Exactly.
On this next one, we're talking a little bit more about like what I was saying in terms of routines and structures within a classroom. So maybe you don't have the freedom or the space, right, to have your 16-year-olds do some Warrior 2 poses. So in these here, and Di, can you just click on those to open up the Google Drive? These are all going to be sent out to you guys, and we'll get in touch with you within the next few days in terms of a blog and how to access these. But so in this Google Drive, I've put together some resources that I've used throughout the years. The mental health units, the gratitude, and the poems, those are definitely all geared toward older students. And the mental health unit in particular, I highly, highly recommend. It was one of my favorites. It's that zip folder there with the little arrow on it. It is just a beautiful way to introduce your students into what is mental health, what are the stigmas around it, how you can talk about it in a more caring way. And at the end, the students get to pick a research project. So that could be some things I had kids do, like what is bipolar disorder and like what does that mean? We had kids do like what should government funding look like? And in all of those resources, as you can see as Di is pulling up those Word docs, they have comments on the side. And those are my different directions that I would give. I always scripted out my lessons to my students. And so in there, there's a little bit more options as well as directions that you can give beforehand. The one that she has open right now are the free writes. This is one that even if you think you can't maybe do some movement or mindfulness, this is a great routine to establish at the beginning of class or maybe at the end of the class. There's some guidelines up at the top. I used to post them up on the board and put them on kids' classwork, just really telling them to take a risk and don't worry. This is not a time to be graded. This is not a time to be observed. This is just a time to get through your thoughts so that your mind is clear for the lesson we're going to have, or maybe the next class you have. I personally love the T-chart option, which is in the middle there. You'd be surprised at how easy it is to have kids like chart out positive and negative things, cover the negative things, and then just keep that positive list in front of them, and how that can be such a game changer in their mood. They love the one at the end, usually the emojis. They love to circle it. They especially love when you ask them, like, what emoji would you think that Miss Diamond is or Miss Diane is? And then they love to tell you about why. Just really getting them to talk a little bit more about their feelings and emotions is huge. There's tons of
Oh,
journal options there. Go ahead, Di, sorry.
no, we also did something similar with our kiddos. So social emotional health was kind of embedded in like a lot of our literacy programs back in AmeriCorps. So yeah, we'd have like feelings puzzles and like emotional Legos where there'd be like faces and you know, and they'd have to kind of put it together. And you'd also, you know, just kind of probe during that time, but not push just on, you know, why did you choose that? How are you feeling today? Sort of things, just to get them open to that sort of language early on. So yeah, that's so important. That's cool that like you can still kind of use this and the kids still find it enjoyable.
Yeah. And I used to get a lot of the emojis would be like that big smiling face, and then kids get to imitate you. And so that's just like an adorable thing to always happen. I loved when kids did imitations of me. Um, in that rest of that Google Drive, there's also some reflections on choice learning. So I feel like this would actually tie into the yoga one that you were talking about. And so usually kids in this would get a chance to decide they want to work with a teacher, they want to work with a partner, a small group, maybe they just want to work individual. We have to remember that kids are coming back to school and they've actually probably had a little bit more freedom in how they've chosen to work at home. And so what could then be them chatting to their friend sitting next to them is just kind of that missing of structure and independent work time. They've been a little bit more free. They've been able to chat with siblings or their parents at all times. So no matter what choice you give them, I would always incorporate at the end just a brief reflection. Which one did you choose? Why? How did it go for you today? Did you learn that like you work better with a partner? Or actually, did you learn that you work better independently? As kids get older, we want them to be able to make those choices themselves. And that actually can't happen unless they are doing that metacognition throughout their learning.
Awesome, totally agree. Love that they have
The
those choices. It's similar to center time.
Yeah. The other one that I really love there is just like free writes on quotes. And this comes from me being an English language teacher, right? It's a huge PowerPoint that I used to use throughout Wonderful Words. We used to do Wonderful Word Wednesday. Again, English teacher, so I love the alliteration. But you could make it into Thrilling Thursday or a Marvelous Monday. And we'd put a quote up on the board, we'd ask some thinking questions, and no matter what kids wrote, it was totally fine. They just had to be writing throughout the time period or thinking and respecting the space of others that were writing.